All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I'm glad that you're tuned in and you're watching Afrique 24 Hour. And welcome to today's program. Of course, we are having what is called the Dr. Shamba Show. And in Dr. Shamba Show, we always ensure that we not only connect you with stories, but we also connect you with solutions. I know most of you have gone through a lot when you want maybe to buy land, or in instances whereby when somebody dies and there's some property that needs to be inherited, people normally get confused, and sometimes they end up getting in the hands of prey, people who end up conning them and they end up losing property. That is why we came up with this program, to ensure that we give you some informed information that will enable you navigate through land ownership and transfer matters. So karibuni sana kwa hii show. And as I welcome you, I just want to tell you that if you are joining me for the first time and you've not subscribed to our channels, ensure that you subscribe to Afrique 24 Hour so that you don't miss this program that will be coming to you weekly, so that you can get informed. So with me, I'm having Reverend James, and I'm also having Engineer Florence Moran. So the two, a gentleman and lady, are going to steer us and take us through what it involves in land ownership and transfers. I know if you are not a first-time viewer, and these are faces that you're used to. We started the program, but due to unavoidable circumstances, we were not able to continue, but I'm glad to announce to you that we are fully back, and each and every week you will always have an opportunity to interact with these brilliant Kenyans. So let me take this opportunity to welcome you guys to this show. I know you've been here before, but it's been a long time. People really missed you. People really missed this kind of program. So I'll take this opportunity to allow you just to say hello and maybe say some greetings to fellow Kenyans from wherever they are before we proceed with today's program. So I'll start with the Reverend. Karibu sana.
Asante sana Bwana Leo. It's always a joy and a privilege for me to be under your directorship. You're such a brilliant man here with the directorship of this program, and it's always good to have you. Thank you also kwa kunipatia nafasi kuwasalimia watu wetu, and I greet you all katika jina la Bwana. Na ningesema ya kwamba unfortunately, kama vile director wetu amesema, tumekuwa tukingoja to resume on this very important program. I've just come from Kenya, back in the US, and some of the issues I was dealing with, being very busy, ni haya mambo ya mashamba. And I was faced with a situation where we have to decide on the area of getting land to settle some of our beneficiaries on one of the programs that is in Rift Valley. So everywhere I go, we're dealing with the issues of mashamba. So it's not a new thing. It's something that we have lived with. We are going to live with, and I'm very glad that we have this program. I like the name, Dr. Shamba, Daktari wa Mashamba. Tuko naye. Tunashukuru sana. Thank you, Bwana Leo.
Asante sana, Reverend, and feel most welcome. It is glad that you came to Kenya and you really interacted with people and you saw the need and how confused and how worried some are when it comes to these issues to deal with the land. It's really depressed. Many have lost property, and many have found themselves homeless simply because they didn't get an opportunity to interact with experts like what we are having right now in this forum. So karibu sana, Engineer Mora. Just say hi to the viewers, and maybe you can brief them on what they can expect in today's session.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, viewers, wherever they are and where they are listening. Also, Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good morning, Mr. James. I'm glad that we are here again. We went on a recession, and now we are back. And I'm glad that we are back. And I keep on saying that knowledge is power, and when you have it, you can drive anything. But if you have no knowledge, you can't even ask a question what you don't know, because if you don't know, you don't know. But when you know, you can ask a question so that you can get the options. So we are here to just enlighten the public on what happens with the land. We may not be able to solve every issue, but we are touching on the very, very key important issues. Because like in Kenya, like every news, you will see something to do with land, and it has been really getting into an escalation mode, because people are, getting everyday things, and even sons and fathers, they are killing each other. Like I have a very recent story that I was listening to just last night, where a father was almost killing the son because he doesn't want the son home, because he doesn't want to give him a piece of land. And because the son is not working, he's like, he doesn't want to know where that boy will go. He doesn't care. So he beat him one day, the second day, the third day, and the fourth day. And these people came to get him from the house because he was almost killing him. So he was beating him the first day and telling him, I don't want to see you here. The next day he comes and he finds the boy is still there, because the boy doesn't have money, doesn't have anything, doesn't have where to go. And now the father told him that I am not your father. And the mother died like in 2014. And now the father is telling even the public that this is not my son. And the son is
Uh-huh.
5 years old. And he has a family, but the family is not together with him because he has nothing to give the family, and the father does not want to give him a piece of land.
Yeah.
And so this is what we are dealing with
Kabisa.
every day, every day. So I hope today, as we share on succession, succession is the key
Yes.
to everything that we are doing. If you want to sell a piece of land, you must have had the title of that land, and you cannot have that title unless you have done succession. If you have a title without the succession, it's a fake title, because already the name of the deceased is still in the files, and you cannot transact a file with a name of a deceased person. So why are we getting the succession done? We are getting the succession done because we want everything, the property of the deceased, to change name to the beneficiary. So when transacted, you are not transacting a name of a deceased person. So today we will venture around there, and I know as we have come back, we are going to be there like quickly to be able to move on to other areas. Yes.
Thank you, engineer. And maybe I can see some people have already joined us. Master Tune is saying, I like the show. Kevin Wasonga, very loud and clear. Of course, guys, if you're joining me for the first time and you've not subscribed to our channel, ensure you subscribe to Afrique 24 Hour so that you can always be able to get this kind of counsel free of charge. You only need to have internet. Then all the way from United States of America, people are coming because they feel what people go through back in the country. And even Kenyans in diaspora, you are the people who are majorly casualties in such kind of things, because you're abroad, you're working hard, you send money for somebody to buy your land. Then when you come back, they give you a title that never had succession. So at the end of the day, you find that you are sweat, you are working to buy maybe a piece of land. Then you come back home, you find that this land is inexistent, or this land belongs to somebody else. So to avoid such kind of regrets, I think it is important that you tune into this kind of program so that you can get informed. And just to remind you, for those people who are meeting Engineer Mora for the first time, Engineer Mora is an expert in land issues, and before she went outside the country, she worked with the Ministry of Lands for over 30 years. So when she is giving you the advice or the process, she's speaking of something that she interacted with and did as her duties. Same to Reverend James, is also an investor back in the country who invested in real estate. And you know, when you invest in real estate and such kind of things, you are likely to interact with the Ministry of Lands, you're likely to interact with this kind of departments. So just as we start, I just want as an engineer to help our viewers understand what is succession. You know, somebody is asking, what is succession? Maybe they think it is success to succeed, or maybe get something good. What is this succession?
Yeah.
Yeah, succession is actually to take the property or the titles from the person who was deceased or died, so that they are in the hands of the beneficiaries, who may be the wife, who may be the children or the grandchildren. So this is property, the process of transferring property from a person who has died, so that the name of the person who has died can change, and now the people who benefit from that, the property or the titles or wherever the person had, they can now have their names in place of the person who has died. So this is just a simple process of transferring from a deceased person to the beneficiaries who are alive.
That's great. As you heard, the viewers, succession is when you now have to transfer the property from deceased to people who are alive. So does it mean that it has to be done, you transfer to maybe family members or anything, or even if you transfer to somebody who is not related to the deceased, or maybe somebody who just want to buy the property, is it still called succession? For example, I want to get land that belongs to Reverend, yet Reverend is not my family member, we don't come from the same family and such kind of things. Is that one still called succession?
No, succession according to the land law of Kenya must be to the beneficiaries, who first is the wife, if the wife is alive. If the wife is not alive, then the children. If the children are not there or wherever, whichever reason, then the grandchildren. So it has to go through the tree of the family. It cannot be done by an uncle or an auntie. They follow the channel of the tree of the person who has died.
I get you. Reverend, you want to add something?
Yeah.
Already we understand what succession is. Before maybe we move to getting how it is done, or maybe the process. Yeah.
Actually, succession is a process, and it is a process by inheritance. An uncle is not a son of his brother or his father or something like that. He's a brother to the children of the father of these children who want to do the succession. So succession is an action of inheriting a title or property or land or something, and to the deceased. So kwa hivyo sio ninasema huyu alikuwa my third fourth uncle ambaye alikufa, sasa nitaenda succession. Hapana. It is an inheritance from somebody that is completely related to that person.
I get you. Okay, of course, people are also asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also use the comment section to ask a question and give your view, and they will be responded to. Kevin Wasonga is already asking a question there. Engineer, you'll respond to this maybe as you explain the process, or you can as well maybe respond to it directly. You will choose how to do it. Kevin Wasonga is asking, what is the cost of succession? I'm dealing with a parcel of land which I bought in 2021, January. The wife is alive. The widow is going to court tomorrow, asking for the general public. Do you want to respond directly, or you'll respond to it as you explain the process that is involved in succession?
Maybe as we do the process of what happens in succession, then now we are able to interact with the questions, because if we interact with the questions, we may not give the process.
Yeah, actually,
When you give the
actually.
process,
So Kevin,
then from the process, somebody can
yeah.
come in and interact with the questions.
So Kevin, just hold on your horses, keep on following. We are going to respond to that question, and when we'll finally reach at that point. So I just want engineer to take us through this process of succession, because of course, when succession is taking place, of course, you've told us why it is important to do succession. So I just want to take us through the process, like, what are the types of the property succession that happens when somebody dies? I understand that there are people who write a will when they die. There are people who don't write a will. So what is normally the process like? Where do you start from?
It's also
My
good.
father died, he didn't write a will.
Banaleo, it's also good to mention that it is not just a process. It is a process.
Okay.
It is a process that leads to an action.
I get you.
So it's not just a process alafu hakuna kitu. The process ambao leads to an action of inheritance.
All right.
Kwa sababu watu wengine wanafikiri wataweza kufikiria ni tutaenda tu baadaye hakuna kitu. It's a process that leads to an action, and I think the engineer will elaborate on that more.
Great. So, engineer, you can proceed and maybe tell us how this thing is normally like.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. Also, Reverend, thank you for elaborating that we are not just doing, a process. It is a process that has results. It's a process that at the end of the day, there must be action taken and transfer taking place from this hand to the other hands. And as I said that we do this simply because we want to have the name transferred from the deceased to the live people who are beneficiaries. We do this so that if we want to sell land, you can sell land. You own the property of the person and you can transact it with no fear. If it is land, a piece of land, subdivision can be done legally, and you can own the property, the titles of the person who died legally, so that you are not illegally in that piece of land, even though you are the beneficiaries. So as we go to the steps of a succession, as Mr. Lewa said, there is that succession of someone who died and left a will. And that's the best, because this person has already said, my eldest son or my wife or my this son is the one who is going to administer my property, and already has said 2 acres of land will go to this one, this will go to that. I have 20,000 in the account. It will go like so. This will is perfectly already done, and this is what we call tested. When you have the will written, it's already in place, either with the lawyer or with the beneficiaries. This is the easiest way, because this one you take it to for just gazettement. For gazettement,
Okay.
it doesn't need a lot, but you go. Of course, it's good to put it in the hands of the lawyer, so you wish, because of in case of any contention. So that a lawyer can successfully say that this will was saying this, and we have to stick to that. Then you take this for the gazettement, which takes like 30 to 60 days. And this is for anyone who wants to say no and objections. That's why the notice is put there for 30 to 60 days, so that whoever is objecting, it can be considered. Maybe there's somebody, maybe this man married another woman somewhere, he has children, and these children are not included in this piece of land. So this is the time for any issues to come up, to object the will, to object the process. And if there is an objection within the days, then this case goes to court. there is no process that is going to continue. But in case there is no objection, after those days, then you are called, the beneficiaries will be given like 6 months by the court, 6 months, to be able to call the surveyor, to be able to do the subdivisions. And so the court will write a letter to the Ministry of Lands, who will issue the titles. They may be 10 titles, they may be 15, they may be 2 titles. Now, that's when now the beneficiaries, each of them is given their title deed, and then they are given their green card. Each one has a green card, which we said contains the information of the person who has the parcel of land, which contains the title.
Okay.
So that is for someone who has a will. Yeah.
A will. What about someone who doesn't have a will? Okay, for someone who have a will, maybe a quick question. You said if there is no objection, meaning there is nobody who is also claiming the same parcel of land that is supposed to be transferred. And if there is an objection, so what happens if somebody claims that, okay, this property belonged to me, yet the deceased had all the documents with him. You know, this person is now deceased. So who will be there to prove that the land belonged to the deceased, yet the deceased is not there?
Now we have the tuko na wazee wa kijiji, tuko na chief, kuna neighbors, kuna wale watu wanasema huyu mtu alikufa ndiye ameishi hapa. So hapo sasa watu wale wana testify, they are the original people who know. Sana sana ni wazee. Wale wazee wanaitwa vikongwe kwa sababu watu wanaamini pahali pana wazee mambo yaharibiki. Wanasema wazee hawawezi kudanganya, ni kama watoto. Unajua mtoto hawezi danganya. So mzee ameona maisha, hawezi danganya, atasema kweli ule mzee alikufa ndiye alikuwa na hii shamba, and the government will take it in. So this will go back to the ground, because it's only the ground that can prove, because the deceased is not there. And these people who are fighting, or the ones who are objecting, may not even be known to the people who are beneficiaries, you know. So the beneficiaries may not be able to fight for themselves, but now it has to go to the ground. Itaanzia hapo sasa.
Get you. Reverend, you want to put some input before maybe now you take us through? There is no will. Somebody did not write a will, and obviously, you know, most Africans, I don't know if it is a mentality in most of our African families. People do believe that will is for the rich. People, I think you get it when I talk of the rich. People do believe that. Sasa mimi, the only thing I own is maybe 10 acres of land and some 3-4 cows. So when you tell them about the will, they believe the will is for people like presidents and such kind. They don't believe in this called will. So majority don't write will.
Let me say this. That actually the illusion of it. Kwamba sisi ambao tumesoma tunafikiria wale watu wa zamani kwa sababu hawakuenda shule hawakuwa na mambo ya kama hawa ya will. Let me tell you, especially from the Agikuyu point of view, and I think you guys can also testify in your own tradition. These people walikuwa na will. It's only that it is not in the books like we have it today. In the zamani, wazee walikuwa wanasema wakati nitaondoka, hizi mbuzi zitakuwa, hii mbuzi 10 itakuwa ya fulani. Hii shamba kutoka pale na mpaka hapa itakuwa ya fulani. In fact, kuna vitu wale ambao wasikizaji ambao wanajua inheritance ya the traditional Gikuyu people. There was even a time when we said in the Kikuyu goikia bo, ni kama ni zile seeds ambazo unasema unatupa, unasema ikia mahali itaanguka hapo ndio itakuwa ya fulani. na kuna wengine walikuwa wanatumia yardsticks. Kwa hivyo will haikuanza na wasomi kama sisi, ilianza zamani, na part of modernization ambayo imekuja even wakati huo, there were also chiefs au leaders ya wazee kwa kijiji. Mambo mengi hata ya mambo ya harusi, or even a lady has been kuna kijana amecheza na msichana na msichana amepata mimba. I do remember as a young man, as a young boy, we used to attend those meetings. Tunaitwa na wazee ili tuje tusikize vile wazee wana kesi, kama wako wanaendelea na kesi kama hiyo, ndio tujue. So those things were there, they were in place. The whole area of succession. It's only that it was not in records like we have today. Kwa vitabu, kwa nini? And I know even with the Wakisi or other tribes, there were things that were done by the wazees even in those days. So with the succession, I think it's now streamlined in terms of law. In our country, we had the British Constitution, and those things were there. They were streamlined. We now have from 2010, we have a new constitution, which is a little bit different from what we had, and these things are also streamlined. Kwa hivyo, succession is a very good process. It's a very important process because it underlines. It removes a lot of things that we assume. In fact, I've just gotten a text from a friend. I was somewhere in one of the states here in the US, and somebody was interested with the land. I have watched a program that you have in Africa. The land you mentioned, I would like to buy. Now, can I get the PIN number? Yeah, land here. Can I get a copy of the title? Can I get a copy of the ID yake? Can I also get a copy of the KRA PIN number? Huyo mtu yuko hapa America, anahitaji hizo kwa mtu ambaye yuko Kenya, just to be sure atanunua shamba ambaye iko na mtu ambaye yuko na hizo documents zote, just because of the issue that we are going through. Kwa hivyo succession in itself, as the engineer has mentioned, it's trying to unearth kama daktari, kama zimesema Dr. Shamba, wakati unaenda you don't go to the doctor unamwambia I have diagnosed myself. Kwa nahitaji daktari ajue ni nini imefanyika. So that's exactly what we are doing.
Great. That one is well understood. Engineer, you can proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend, for that elaboration. Najua sisi wengine tulipozaliwa bado hatukufikia kidogo hiyo bila watu walikuwa wanafanya vikao, lakini huwa tunasikia na kulingana na kwetu kwenye ninatoka, vikao kama hiyo wamama wako wakaribie. Hiyo ni maneno ya wazee peke yake. Na it was a very genuine. It was very genuine, and ilisuluhisha mambo mengi sana, kwa sababu hata sheria inatambua, customary law inatambua. Na sasa hawakuwa wengi wanajua kuandika, lakini the word of mouth does it. Na sisi tulikuwa tunaamini kitu ambacho mwenye amefariki amesema, ukikaunta you can die, laana zitakufuata. So people feared, it's not like today where we say wacha ifanyike nitakuwa tupatane mbele. But that time things used to work the way they used to work, and that was then. But now, because technology has really increased, I can make a title deed. And things have become even more worse, and now we need also to be knowledgeable. As technology advance, we have to catch up with how knowledge is advancing, so that we can be on top of the game, or else we can be shortchanged. And you find yourself in the 1920s, when people are in the millennium. So that's why we are really, feeling like this knowledge, people need to have it in their hands. And you find that most of the time, you can buy land which has not been succeeded. Like watoto wakipata shamba wanaanza kuuza tu, kwa sababu hata jasho hawakusweat. Maybe shamba baba alinunua, sasa wanauza tu, na watu wanasema hata wanauza cheap, lakini hawajaitoa kwa mwenye alifariki. Kwa hivyo ukinunua shamba, make sure just the way huyo mwenye ametuma text anauliza, make sure hii shamba iko kwa jina ya nani, ni huyu mtu ako hai ama huyu mtu amekufa. Kwacha kutoa tu pesa, ufuatilie kabisa mpaka ujue. Kwa hivyo tumesema hiyo ni ile wakati watu wameandika will, na wakati ameandika will, mambo inakuwa rahisi sana, kwa sababu hakuna mtu anataka kuchange the will vile imesemekana. Na hiyo inaenda haraka, na watu wanapata vitu vile wanahitaji kupata. Lakini kama hakuna will iliandikwa, ambayo tumesema watu wengi hawaandiki, lakini Mungu atusaidie sasa sisi ambapo tumejua that it is good even to just say this piece of land is for so and this one is for, you just say that even if you are not writing, people will know exactly what is your intention, kuliko unaenda tu kama hujajua. Kama mimi nakumbuka wakati baba yetu alikuwa kidogo ako hai kabla hajaaga, alisema hata akasema mahali atazikwa, akasema hii itakuwa hivi, itakuwa na mahali atazikwa, kwa sababu alikuwa not with one wife. Na kuna vile tradition inasema kama huyu anaweza zikwa hapa, lakini yeye alichagua ni kwa bibi mgani atazikwa, and it went like that. Nobody could challenge it, So such things are important for us to know, and to know how our cultures work. So that said and done, when we talk about the land that has no will, or the property, it is called intestate. Intestate is whereby the person just dies and there's nothing he has left, like what will happen, or how much do I have, or who should have what. And in this case, now the people who are supposed to succeed this land, they may be the sons, they may be the wife or the husband. They go to the chief, the area chief. The area chief, who knows very well that you are sons of this mzee. You go there, they write a letter. You go, of course, with your ID, because it's very official. He writes you a letter which will help you to get these letters of administration, which are going to help you to go on and do the gazettement. So the first thing that you are supposed to have is a letter from the chief. If there is no will, this letter is introducing you to the government that you are the rightful person. So in this case, you may choose even 4 people who are going to represent you, whom you believe in. And once they get this letter, now they can be able to go ahead and do the gazettement, because this letter now will go hand in hand with the title deed of the deceased person, and now they can go ahead and apply for gazettement, which will take the normal time of 30 to 60 days, also for any objection. So if there is no objection, this now they are allowed to agree now. How are they going to subdivide? Because they don't have a will that says so and so take 10, so and so take 9. So now they are the ones to sit down and now wakubaliane tutafanya hivi, tutafanya hivi, tutafanya. Kwa hivyo wanapewa miezi 6 ya kujadiliana na kuelewana na kuitana surveyor. After that, they will go back to the court and they say, we are all in agreement.
Yeah.
If there is anyone objecting, the court will take you back. Until all of you, if you are guilty, you must say, we are all in agreement. And then you are already have involved a surveyor, and the surveyor has done the subdivision and has given a tentative, a map that is not, of course, to scale, that shows this is a piece of land. It's called a mutation, actually. A mutation shows the subdivision, how it was done, so that now the court will write a letter that accompanies that mutation with the names of the people and the number of acres it is going to get and the number of wherever is going to the property that was subdivided, and then it's taken to the Ministry of Lands for issuing of titles. So here, the only difference between the person who didn't do the will and the one who did the will, the difference is that the one who didn't do the will, you must go through the chief. The one who did the will, you don't have to go through the chief.
And I think it's good to note, Banalem, it's good to note that the key part is that this letter cannot be written by just anybody in the village. It has to be written by the chief mwenyewe, and it is not just addressed to anybody else, it's addressed to the court. Now, even inside that letter, it is verifying the authorized person who is the deceased. Wale ambao wamewachwa. So, from the elder of Ziku za Zamani, which we also had a leader in the village, today is the chief. And now the biggest question many of us have, some of the chiefs ni watoto wa miaka 20.
Exactly. That is where I was going to. That's what I wanted to ask you, because some of the chiefs and the assistant chiefs we have currently are in the current system of government. Sio kama kitambo, when the chiefs were older people who are married, they had families, they had a lot of information concerning the village. Nowadays, like I have a friend of mine, he's only 32 years old. He's assistant chief. He doesn't even understand the terrain of the village very well. So that one brings another question that I was concerned. Engineer talked of gazettement. Once the letter has been addressed and it has been taken to court, it will have to be gazetted for about 30 to 60 days waiting for objection. And in case there is no objection, then they can proceed. What happens? When you go to the village, there are people who don't even read these gazettes. They don't know this kind of proceedings. So you have a chief who doesn't understand the village well. And the country that you're living, there's a lot of things that happens as long as you have money. So they go get hold of somebody's the deceased title and such kind of things. Aren't you seeing a situation whereby a transfer is going to be done to a wrong person because the other person doesn't know there's some gazettement that you need to check to go and object and such kind of things? People will come to you innocently that, you see, I want to buy this land. Can I see the title? You show them the title. They see, okay, the title belongs to your grandfather or something like that. Because people are so ignorant, and then a Tafuta chief who also doesn't know the village well, then they do it when you don't know.
Yeah, and that's what we call corruption. And that's not what we are calling corruption. Because huyu chief mwenye ajui, akona watu wa chini. Unajua siku hizi tunaenda mpaka nyumba 10. Akona watu mpaka nyumba 10. Nyumba 10 inamaanisha nyumba 10. You count 1, 2, 3. Kwa hivyo nyumba 10 around there, these people know, like, hawawezi kosa mtu anajua. Kwa hivyo kama huyu chief ako genuine na kuna vitu haelewi, kuna hao wanafuata. Unajua administration ina trickle down to that nyumba 10.
Yeah.
Lakini sasa kwa sababu hiyo sasa tukiingia hiyo area hiyo sasa hiyo tunaita corruption yenye mtu hata anapata title ya mtu alikufa na hata yeye si mwenyewe na hata ameuza ile shamba na ile shamba si yake, even the uncles wameuza. Kama ni mwanamke wife alikufa anatupwa nje, ndugu zake wanachukua property ya the deceased na wapei watoto wa yule. Those are things now which are called corruption. Which are maybe they are now beyond our scope, but now our scope is like, are we acknowledging people to know that they should follow this process to be able to get a piece of land legally, and those who are buying, you should follow to know what this piece of land, the title of this piece of land, is the owner or it's genuinely transferred, so that before you buy. Otherwise the other things which happen are a lot, kwa sababu tunakuwa na title deed mbili tatu, mtu anauza shamba mara tatu Kenya tu. So that one now is beyond our scope.
If I can help engineer kidogo, yeah. That's why the letter is addressed to the court. It's not addressed to anybody else. Na hata huyu chief akiwa as young as they are, some of them are very, very good. They are also trained. However, the court and au serikali recognizes hiyo koti ya wazee wa nyumbani. The court never dismisses that. In fact, there are times their testimony is very, I mean, they are recognized in the court of law. So I think that helps a little bit. The other thing is that let's not go ahead, very much ahead of us, because with succession, there is something that the engineer will come and explain, which is called the search. And the search is also going to, and itatoa hizo vitu vyote ambayo tunaita corruption na nini, kwa sababu kama title ilitengenezwa na computer huko kwa land haikutengenezwa na computer. ni ile original ziko. Unasikia she has mentioned something inaitwa green card, and maybe yes. You can explain a little bit, because when Kenyans hear green card, they think
of getting to America.
Ya kuja America. Lakini hawajui kuna kitu kinaitwa green card huko kwa Ministry of Land au kwa survey. And so those records are very intact, and I think the engineer can testify to us, because she has been there over 30 years. That those are documents that are key and lock, or lock and key, whichever way you are. Sio kitu ya kuwa tampered like that. So I think that's only addition I can give.
Yes, when once now that letter has been written, say from the chief, and you have the title, you do that, the search, to understand that for real, this title, whatever is in the green card is what is on the title. Exactly. So this, the green card is a card. Actually, it's a card, and it's green in color, but it contains information of whatever this piece of land is about. It has, if the piece of land had alone, it is there. Any encumbrances is attached to this. Any encumbrances is attached to this. The green card. So it's very important when you go, and the registrar of lands is the one who keep this in his office under lock and key. And it has only to be, there's a procedure for you to be able to, once the search is done, they only print, they give you a print. They don't give you a green card. They give you a print. And this print now explains to you exactly what is all about the piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that green card is important. It is in the Ministry of Lands, and when you do the search is to know what is contained in the piece of land before you do anything, before you transact. Yeah. So if this piece of land is held by the bank, it is shown it is held by the bank. So even when you as the buyer, you are going to buy, you are not only going to see whether it was succeeded or what, you are also going to see, you do a search to see if this piece of land is free.
Yeah.
Does it have any issues? If it has any issues, it's always in the Ministry of Lands. Yeah. So I really wish that as we continue, maybe I will only answer the question of that one young man who asked a question.
Yeah.
And then from there, maybe we will continue
Okay.
another time. And if there are any other questions, we will you just get it through our presenter, and he can post it to us. And then next time we will start with those questions before we move on to the next topic. But for now, I just want to answer the question of that, the one
Okay, you
which
can answer the question of the codes of succession, and he said that he's dealing with a parcel of land which he bought in 2021 January. The wife is alive, so I think maybe the land belonged to the man, and the man passed without writing a will. So in this case, the wife is the beneficiary or something like that, and he bought the land from the widow. And maybe as you answer that, you can also maybe attach it to this. What is okay? I think it's the same. How much does it cost to file a succession case? I think it's the same question. Yeah, it's the same question.
Yeah.
I tend to understand that the question, the first question is that this person who's asking the question is interested in this piece of land.
Yes.
And there's someone who is a beneficiary, who is the wife of the deceased.
Yeah.
So now I get also to guess or understand that this wife does not have, it doesn't have the will. She doesn't have the will. So if she doesn't have
Yes.
the will, she's going to go through what we just said. So that she go to the chief, she get a letter because she's the wife. She get a letter, she go to search, she go to the courts, and then it is taken to for whatever process that we have said, so that he can acquire this piece of land into her title before now she can subdivide it to the person who is buying. So she has to go through the process. She cannot just go to the general public because the general public cannot help. She has to go to the chief. She get the letter of administration, and then she can be able to administer accordingly, so that this buyer can get a genuine title deed. The cost of filing, I don't know, but it depends, because when I was in Kenya, things have changed now. When I was in Kenya, just like 2019, 2018, it was around 50,000 to 60,000, and also depending on where the land is. But generally, it was around, like the piece of land in home, I mean in the rural area, it was around 50,000 to 60,000, and all the process will be complete. And this money you don't pay like once, you pay like as you agree, opening the file, and then you would pay this, and then by the time it's in gazettement, you are paying, and the money come. So this lawyer will be able to help you to administer this land accordingly. So the cost is relative. The cost depending on the cost of the property, where you are, and also what you agree with your lawyer.
The best thing,
Okay.
the best thing to know is to know that from each county, the cost is different. Be given some environmental issues, and also about the fees and everything else. So the best thing is to go to either the website, ministry, or also Google from different counties. But what I have seen is that the fees are generally the same, but there are some other costs that add depending on which county you are talking about.
Maybe I want to ask this question. Is it advisable to pay the vendor some deposit or money before the transaction is concluded? Like in this case, the gentleman said he already bought the land, meaning he already paid some money. So what is remaining is doing the transaction. So between payment of the money and transactions, which one should come first?
Now that we can say that he has already bought the land and he cannot reverse it, and maybe bought it
Yeah.
because, of course, he didn't have knowledge then, but now he has knowledge. Now let him assist that lady, either by advice, and in case she may need any financial assistance, in case she, because it's for his benefit. If that lady succeeds to get that piece of land into her name, that is to the benefit of the buyer, because the buyer will be safe. So already now he cannot reverse the money which he used to buy the piece of land. So now he has to cooperate and work together with this lady, and give knowledge to this lady, and get to know the steps she's taking so that he can help. He can help, he can chip in, because he knows what he needs ahead.
Mhm.
Oh, that's great. That is great. That is great. So you can chip in, then at the end of the day, they can organize and see how they can share the cost. There's also a question that I was asked. I'm trying to look for it. Okay, I have it there. That what consent is needed for you to successfully buy or sell land? That is from Ruth. What consents are needed in order to successfully sell or buy land? Like you are talking about, there must be, I think, a land board chief who need to consent. You are selling land, you have spouse. I don't know. So, do we need some people to consent in order for this thing to be considered it is now successful?
When we are talking about a succession,
Yeah.
they say no any other consent. There's no consent from anywhere. It's only that you must go through, those people who are beneficiaries. They must get an administrator who go to the chief, and the chief know that this is so and so's son, or this so and so's wife, or this so and so's husband. So now with succession, that is it. But now when we are talking about the consent and all that, that is transfer of land, which
I
we'll
get
talk
it.
another time. Transfer of land
Of
is
land.
different from succession. Transfer of
So
land
succession has
means
to come first before we go to transfer, right?
um, succession is only for the dead. The dead,
Yeah,
the
I'm saying
person
for
who
the
has
dead.
died.
Actually,
We are
for
only,
the
we
dead,
are only, sorry.
for the dead, you have to do succession first before you do the transfer.
That's it. That's it.
I think
Because
that
sasa
is clear.
wakati ile title imebadilika na information
Yeah.
imebadilika, hakuna ule mtu amekufa ako around hiyo property. Sasa hapo tutaenda sasa transfer. Ukitaka kuuza sasa, nani unauliza? Kwa sababu huuzi hivyo hivyo, ati kwa sababu sasa nimepata kwa jina yangu, mimi nitauza tu. It's not like that. So now with that
Okay.
one, now we will talk about land transfer and what happens and what you are supposed to do. But now for
Yes.
succession, if anybody has questions now, ask around succession, and maybe, as I said, we may answer them very soon, next week, because we'll have another, next week.
Yeah,
So
we're
we
going to
will
have
start
another
with
session,
any
of course.
questions. Yeah, any questions on succession, because I want to move from succession. We have really, dealt with it because it was a really big thing. So anybody who has questions, let them put them down, and you get them to me as the presenter. Then I will be able to, get them answers just before we move to another topic.
I think that is great. That one sounds great because if I check, we only have 5 minutes left. So maybe I can give you an opportunity to maybe just
Yeah,
give a summary, touch
let
on something
me,
that maybe we've not touched on as we plan to as we plan to wind it up. I can see Stella Wangari is also saying that you will need a confirmation of letters of administration. This will be used to effect any transaction. I think that one is responding to somebody who was asking for things to do with the transfer, which will be the next theme in our next episode next week. I think we're going to look at land transfer. So I'll give Reverend, then I'll come to you, Engineer, just some final remarks. You can touch on things that maybe you might not have touched on as we are winding up.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to add that as far as I think Engineer Mesema, the lady and the man who is buying from the deceased lady, that case has moved from testate to interstate, because testate you have a will. Interstate is where you don't have a will. And so I think they need to begin it from that point, where now this man is helping this lady, knowing that he can never go over her head as the next of kin of the husband who has died. You cannot dismiss her on a side to do what he needs to do. So, as the engineer has said, he needs to work with her to be able to benefit from owning this land. And as I said, if issues come to where they really cannot understand well, this is where you need a lawyer who is able to represent both in terms of issues of law when it comes to interstate. Otherwise, I do agree with the engineer that when it comes to buying and selling land, that subject is hot right now, with all the many people who are buying, selling plots and other things. I do know some people who have lost money from those buyings and other things, and especially our own people who are probably sometimes not able to travel to Kenya because of the status they are in, and they're sending money for buying land, which eventually they don't get. So I hope our viewers are really waiting for that, and we'll probably have more questions. Otherwise, thank you very much. This has been very productive. Thank you, Bwana Leo. You've done a very, very, very good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much even for creating time to come and enlighten fellow Kenyans. I know it is not easy to veer off your busy schedule just for the sake and for the love of your country. Engineer, maybe we can get some final remarks from you as you also try maybe to touch on some parts that you feel are not yet sent home.
Yeah, I know always, after you lecture, once you do the lecturing, there are things maybe may not have been understood well. There may be things that may have been misinterpreted. So we expect all diversity. I was a teacher also for surveying, a lecturer for like 10 years. So I know that I expect that, but I know that as we continue to get the feedback, we are here. We can repeat that. You can ask anything until you understand, because we are not completing the syllabus to do the Kenya National Examination Council. We are just here to make sure that we reach you. Reach.
Yeah.
Hata mkisema kwamba hiyo kizungu yangu ilikuwa mingi sana, next time tutaki kizungu, tunataka kusikia Kiswahili, nitasema. Alafu wengine watasema sasa tunataka kusikia Kikisii, nitasema. Na Kikuyu pia naweza sema kidogo, lakini sitasema sana. So that somebody somewhere has help. Somebody, that's the paramount feeling about why we are in this studio. That's the feeling. So everybody, whoever feels kama ameachwa nje, alalamike. Tunahitaji hayo malalamishi through the feedback, through our presenter, so that we can be able to reach you. So we are not really in a hurry. We are not here to finish anything. we are here to just enlighten the public and also our friends, our brothers, our sisters. And as I said earlier, we are not Mr. Know-all. Hata madaktari, kuna gynecologists, kuna bado wanaitwa madaktari, kuna wa surgery, kuna so wherever that we are presenting is just to pass that knowledge so that someone at least is able to know what is this and what is that. And as we move on, I believe we are going to treat the symptoms of the disease that may be something that can be a terminal disease pertaining to Shamba. As we doctor this Shamba, we can be able to help. Otherwise, thank you so much, Reverend. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. The viewers, those who have listened to us, and take word and let people just listen. We only, you don't pay this studio to listen. You just listen, so that you get that knowledge. So we hope that, and also give us the best time. Tell the presenter what is the best time for you to be able to know this thing, and how can we reach the entire, Republic of Kenya, so that we are able to get to know, and also those who are in diasporas, how do we reach you? Go to these videos and get to know what is happening. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. And those who are in diaspora, you can have a wonderful day, because this is morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Look forward to see you.
Thank you so much, Engineer and the Reverend, for creating time so that we can have this kind of wonderful discussion. And to our viewers, we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. I'm watching even as we connect you with African stories. We said we're not only going to connect you with stories, but we're also going to connect you with solutions. So when you're having Dr. Samba is all about giving solutions and unlocking the land dilemma. Land is one of the precious factors of production that we have in this country, and somebody might not have money, but they have land. So it's something that is so core that nobody would want to lose it. Nobody would want to engage in a business that at the end of the day you'll find that you've lost your money simply because of ignorance. So we are here to ensure that you get all the information that is needed, and you can always reach us even when we are offline with the questions, so that when you're having this kind of show, you will always get them answered. Apart from that, I know in the next show, we are going to share the contacts of Reverend and Engineer Moran, so that at your free time, maybe you cannot be able to send an email or you cannot be able to comment on the channels, but you need some specified consultation or specified advice, you will be able to reach them, despite the fact that we are miles apart. We've been connected by internet, so it is easy nowadays to call somebody who is in America, call somebody who is in Australia, or somebody who is in Canada, when you are just seated back at Busia, Mkurueni, or somewhere near Kehancha. So I just want to wish you a very wonderful evening, a good morning for the ones who are waking up now. Still, we meet in the next show. This was Dr. Shamba. So ensure you subscribe and wait for the next episode. Goodbye from this end.